What's up, everybody? I'm George Mossey. I'm here with my co-host, Marshana Spavento. Last night, 90 Day Fiancé, The Other Way, Season 3, Episode 4 aired. I'm going to jump right in. A lot of crazy stuff happened. Make sure you're live tweeting with us. I'll put our Twitters at the screen so you can see what we're talking about as it happens. But let's jump in. So Kenny and Armando have made a trip to Armando's family's house. And, well, I don't like what Kenny is doing. He's very much so pushing Armando to tell his family about the wedding, which is understandable because he wants them to be there. But the situation when they got there was very different because Kenny's father did not avoid them. He was actually very hospitable and he actually hugged Kenny. So I understand Armando's feelings of not wanting to strain this progression.
Yeah, I feel for Armando because he is in a delicate situation. And I also feel for Kenny because Kenny has sacrificed a lot, right? He's left behind his family, his grandchild, and everything to be in Mexico. And he wants to be with someone who he feels like accepts him fully and their family accepts them fully. But I don't think that I blame Armando's father so much. Just knowing the culture that they were raised in, it's a lot to overcome. And I think that some things just need time, right? You can't always just jump in and be like, look, accept, they went from knowing their son Armando being married to a woman, having a traditional family in that sense. So seeing this change, I think, is a little bit hard for him to accept. I think he's doing great. I see progress, and let's just take progress for what it is.
Absolutely. It took a year for them to get to this point. So I don't feel like they should put any type of strain on that. They should give it time. Obviously, you want them to be at the wedding, but take your time and make sure that they're ready to be there. All right, so let's talk about Ginny and Sumit. So after we discovered that Hare Krishna was not an option for Ginny to stay in the country, they are back to square one. And actually, Sumit finds out that he can file for a replacement passport because his ex-in-laws confiscated it and now are saying they don't have it. The situation only is a month process and he can travel with Ginny. So now the option is there for them to, if she is asked to leave the country, they can go to another country together. But what really, the question is, Ginny, when is enough enough? You have already left one country, you're living in another country, and you're willing to go to another country, all for a man who won't marry you. And he has made it super, super clear that he won't marry you. There's no leading on at this point.
I've really had enough of Jenny with the nonsense. And when she got upset and threw the chair a few weeks ago, I really felt like that was the beginning of her coming to her senses. But I was wrong. It's kind of like when you're mad and upset with your partner, they're fine. The relationship is not in jeopardy. But when you act calmly and say, hey, I'm good, I'm done, it's over. I think when I start seeing Jenny act calmly and being like, okay, Sumit, you don't want to marry me? All right, no problem. That's when she'll be out of it. But as long as she's passionate about it, because I can't believe she really went down to the temple and did all the chants and stuff for a man who will not marry you. I mean, clearly Sumit must be talented in some ways that we don't know about. That keeps Jenny coming back for more.
Has to be in ways I don't want to know about, but has to be. So we're going to see what country they end up in now, because I don't see her staying in India. They can't get married. That's the only way. So we're going to see what happens this season. All right, so let's talk about Corey and Evelyn. So after we found out last week, unfortunately, I wasn't here last week, so we didn't talk about it, but they have been married for a year. And no one knows. We didn't know. Her sisters didn't know. Her parents don't know. I don't even think Corey's family knows. They've been married. So they're planning a wedding. And well, let me back up. So the situation with Ginny in Peru, we didn't understand why Evelyn was so upset because we know that she was messing around with her ex while Corey was there as well. But the issue is they were not on a break. There's no such thing as a break in a marriage.
Not at all.
Given the full story. So now we understand the severity of this Ginny in Peru situation because they were married. Regardless of how you feel and if you're fighting, your vows still matter.
Now, listen, I brought my Gatorade so I could drag Evelyn proper, so let me have a sip. Okay. I don't like to stand up for Evelyn, but I will say this one thing. Evelyn, you might have a dog in this fight because you and Corey were married. Okay. Now, she was wrong to ask for space in a marriage. Okay. But Corey, you were dead wrong because you absolutely knew that you were married. And clearly we all know there's something that they're teasing this season that happened between him and the girl in Peru that is pretty serious. I'm thinking he fathered a child. I don't know. Let us guys know what you think is the big secret that Corey's keeping. But I still cannot get behind the way that Evelyn treats Corey, who we now know is her husband. I think her sister is a child. It's painful to see her childish ways come out. She does not understand the complexity of adult relationships. And what I really especially don't like is Evelyn. I don't care if you like Corey or not. You need to defend this person who is now legally your family member. And allowing her sisters to set him up that way, to get him make him eat a dish of penis and all kinds of stuff, and getting them this involved in their marriage is just beyond me. If she didn't want Corey and she loathed him that much and she couldn't forgive him for the situation in Peru, she should have divorced him and left him alone. She can still divorce him and leave him alone. But treating someone like this is beyond the pale. It's just not even necessary.
It is. It's wrong. It's torture. And when she explained the marriage, she said it was only because it was the only option to keep him there. And that made my eyebrow raise, because I was like, well, as long as he's there, he can keep funding your tiki bar and he can keep funding
and
your
buy new property for you to waste, and then demand a $50,000 wedding from him when you know you've spent all the money that he has.
She's lucky if Corey has $200 left over. Like, he would ass off a prom dress with a hole in it that his sister wore like 10 years ago. Like, Corey is broke, and Evelyn has everything that she's going to get out of him. And it's making me wonder if her behavior now is just to push him away so she can move on. She's gotten what she needs. Now she needs him to leave. That's what I feel.
That's exactly it.
All right, guys, that's it for part one. We're going to come back with part two, and we're going to talk about Steven and Alina and their weird situation. And we're going to also talk about Ariana and Biniam and Leandro on his trip with, and he met Wish. All right, guys, so I'm George Mossey. This is Marshana Spavento. Make sure you live tweet with us. I'll put our Twitter at the bottom. And we will be back with part two. And make sure you're with us each Sunday night, and we'll see you guys real soon.